Morning, good afternoon, good evening, all. It's Bear here. And I'd like to welcome you to my YouTube channel, A Box with No Lid. A channel dedicated to learning about raising awareness and creating understandings around complex trauma, but also really delving into ways of improving the quality of your life and healing, actually healing from trauma. Now, a large part of our healing, and as I've raised in other videos, is we need to create scaffolds that our body will accept. A key component or pathway that we all have a foundation in to support the building or the creating of a scaffold, and it's one of the most common ones that are used in our world, is our spirituality. Our ceremonies and rituals, our belief system. Now, the purpose of today's video, yes, I want to delve into some of the importance of that, but I want to create a very defined set of parameters around what you're going to need when you start to look at a belief system that supports healing. This is not designed to criticize any religion or belief system in the world. None at all. Nobody has a right to judge another person's beliefs or to tell another person how to pray. This is purely around the practical reality of access to the support, knowledge, and capacities of belief systems to help with the reality of healing trauma. That is the only framework that I'm coming from. Now, in our world, we have really two very generalized forms of belief systems. There's religion. There's all the different religions of the world. And then there's the more tribal or indigenous belief systems. Now, in understanding the differences, majority of religions are about worshiping of a god or a set of deities. And religion has become a more separated from culture that supported the creation of those religions, because they're broken down across borders and so forth and so forth. So there is a distinct separation between culture and the religion, the worshipping component. And that creates a really complex set of issues when you're looking at it from the perspective of healing trauma. Now, when you look at an indigenous belief system, a tribal belief system, there is no separation between culture and the honoring of Creator and the honoring of the spirits and the deities of that tribal belief system. There is zero separation. And that opens up a whole plethora of abilities for those belief systems to heal trauma. So in going into a little bit more of an understanding, and as I said, I'm not attacking any religion or belief system. It is purely around the practicality of what's needed. With religions, because of that cultural separation, it creates two fundamental issues. One, the level of knowledge, to acquire the level of knowledge you need to within a religious belief system, the amount of study you need, because of that separation of culture and worship, to have what you require to heal takes a very long time, and most don't have that ability or affordability or access or the support to be able to learn, to devote to that degree. It also opens up, and we see it in a lot of the religious sects within the world, the fundamentalism pathways, where those that are seeking that level of knowledge are preyed upon. Their need to get the help they need to heal, and they become part of a fundamentalist, philosophy, which is very destructive for our species. But when you look at it from an indigenous perspective, the primary part of the ceremonies and rituals is the living day-to-day realities of connection. of how a community functions, how a community problem solves, how a family heals and works together. Because they developed around a group of people depending upon each other to survive and flourish. And those mechanisms are what heals trauma. The day-to-day connections, attachment and belonging, the day-to-day processes of problem solving, of constantly reassuring the body through all these experiences and activities, and sharing and working together and participating, reassuring the body that I am part of a greater whole. That is how we heal trauma. And as I said, with religion separating culture, which contains those components, from the worship part, looking into a culture will be more beneficial in healing trauma than a religion. Now, we are all indigenous to somewhere. Like me, I'm mixed blood. Many of us have mixed races. But we know the ones that our genetics aligns to the most. And you can explore those pathways of learning that culture, your culture. Learning another person's culture in this context won't work because your epigenetics won't accept it. So this is not about people jumping on the New Age wagon and becoming indigenous overnight. It's not that at all. This is about aligning with all the generations of prayer and ceremony and rituals and healing and processing and understanding and working together. All of these inherited mechanisms and bringing them into play within our being, within the muscle memories that we're exploring because of the activities that we're doing. And that will only work with your own genetic ancestry and your own genetic cultures. And everyone's ancestry goes back to living in small communities and tribes. There's not a race on the planet that doesn't. As a guide for this, I try to go back at least 2,000 years. Purely because the way religion doctrine has changed so many belief systems. And as I said, this is not a criticism, but from the healing perspective, handing your power over to another is dangerous. Really dangerous when you are healing trauma. It's about working with and sharing. It is not about handing your power over for 2 points. One, if they can't meet all your needs, you're going to crucify them at a later date. Pardon the pun. But the second is you would become preyed upon far too easily. And it is way too risky. Anybody that promises you a whole bunch of stuff, just make sure that they have the capacity to be able to fulfill those promises before you start handing your resources over. And yourself and your belief systems. Because jumping from your own life raft to somebody else's, you need to have the ability and the awareness to make sure that it will actually support both of you or all of you. But I digress. As I said, fundamentally, it is really looking at muscle memory. To heal trauma, we need to have a whole bunch of experiences. Physical, not intellectual, not imagined, not visualized. We need to physically experience positive interactions, positive achievements, positive problem solving, and positive safe and positive belonging, and all these physical experiences for our body to change its defensive and threat response processes. We can't do it any other way. This is why Western medicine is so reliant upon medication, trying to fulfill those gaps, those experiences, because those experiences are not there and not possible within that model. It's completely reliant upon the person doing it for themselves. And in most of us that have gone through trauma, our trauma creates a set of circumstances that prevents us from being able to live those experiences. into the degree that is enough for our body to change, to fundamentally change the neurological processes of threat response and trauma experience, trauma memory. So creating a belief system, learning your cultural ancestry, learning the protocols of how your family is, can at least, you can start to change your ecology and bringing in those processes. Bringing in that acknowledgement that you are part of something greater than yourself. And to give an easy example of the value of this, care animals that are connected to nature is a huge part of therapy. Many people that have gone through trauma connecting to nature, connecting to animals, that's a part of a cultural belief system and a way of fulfilling that biological need to be part of something. So this stuff works, but it takes a lot of commitment, and it takes a lot of time to get these components in the right mix for your garden to grow. But in the long run, it is the best chance we have to heal. And even if you go down a completely therapeutic line, you'll still need to create these in some way. So as I said, this is not about attacking any belief system or religion. It's about ensuring that the cultural components of that belief system are the foremost in what you are learning. Because within culture, within traditional old school culture, I mean how things were done a couple of thousand years ago, where communities were dependent upon each other for to flourish and to succeed, before the hierarchy crap really delved in on a large scale. Within those cultural ways of doing things lies the framework to build the ecology that leads you to your belonging. And in other videos I will step into, I will refer back to rituals and ceremonies quite a bit, because they are an excellent tool in the way we can use our inherent belief system that we've inherited since our species, first started to be created, or believe, and to come into being. We can tap into that genetic abilities, that genetic connection, to help construct the scaffold for our healing. So, as always, I welcome your emails and comments, your questions, and so forth. Please be kind and gentle and respectful of yourself. Please value yourself enough to not hand your power over to somebody, but to do the work yourself and share with others, not become preyed upon, especially in this area when we're looking at belief systems and religions and so forth. Be kind and gentle, be respectful, and I'll see you next time. Hope.